All right, guys, so in this video, I just want to share some DIY vapor blaster builds from around the world. These are people who picked up my plans, built their own cabinets, and are sharing some pictures. And they're saving a fuck ton of money. Okay, so you're going to notice two things. You don't have to use a Harbor Freight cabinet in order to make a vapor blaster. You can pretty much use any cabinet, make the necessary modifications, and it'll work just fine. Also, there's a couple people that we're going to share here that they're running 220. So yes, you can run this in 220 volt, and it's actually pretty simple to do. Okay, real quick, I want to answer questions on 220 volt. In the US, we have 120. In Europe and other countries, it's 220 volt. Okay, so the first thing is the pump. It's available in 220, 50 hertz. All you have to do is contact the manufacturer or the distributor and try to locate it for sale wherever you live. Number two, the power supplies in the control box. The input can be 120 or 220. The power supplies automatically detect that, or there are power supplies that simply have a switch and you select the input voltage that you need. And if you're buying it in a country where it's primarily 220, they probably supply it ready to go with the switch already in the correct position. Number three, there's another part in there that needs to be ordered with a 220 volt version versus a 120 volt version. The button that I have on there will not work because it's a 120 volt LED illumination. I would recommend just getting a standard switch. No illumination is required. Once you hit the switch, the lights come on, you know the machine is on. And finally, the plug that you plug into the wall, that's going to be different for the country you live in. So basically you just have to adapt that. But anyway, it's totally doable. I'm getting tons of feedback from people from all over the world, and they have managed to figure this out with the plans. And it's crazy. These plans have sold in over a dozen countries. Some of them UK, Germany, Norway, Sweden, China, Chile, Australia, Egypt, New Zealand, and there's some that I probably don't even know about. A couple of you have mentioned that the parts list links have expired. So what I've done is I re-uploaded the spreadsheet with new links that hopefully should work for some time. And the thing with links, guys, is they do eventually expire, and I'll continue to update this, or you can just email me and I can point you in the right direction. But I also added two columns to the spreadsheet: manufacturer part number and vendor part number. If you Google search any one of those numbers, you should get the part pop up on a Google search. Okay, first up is Bernard from Germany. He started off with an SBC 990 cabinet in open loop format. You can see he has two pits because he is going to be running different medias, and you can quickly swap between the two with the design of the pit. He also has a 10 horsepower compressor, which is pushing like 35 to 38 CFM, I believe. So he's going to make, this machine is going to absolutely rip with that amount of CFM. The cabinet is 46 inch by 34 inch, so it's a very large cabinet. And he bought this large of a cabinet because he plans to blast an entire engine block. Okay, next up is Jan from Norway, closed loop plans. He's using the SBC 350 cabinet, which is 41 inch by 36 inch, which is another pretty size cabinet. Like I said, he went full closed looped. He put all the timers in and all that good stuff, and it's fully automated. And here are some parts that he blasted. All right, next up is Dimaratos from Egypt. He is building his unit from scratch, and he sent me some pictures. It's not quite done yet, but you get the idea. He's building it from sheet metal, and I guess he's welding it up, and it's going to be pretty big. Okay, and lastly, we have Clara from New Hampshire. Claire, she sent me a long write-up and also a video, which I'm just going to play the video. She has some good mods that she made. I guess her door was leaking and her window was leaking on the Harbor Freight cabinet, which is funny because my cabinet is 10 years old and all that foam is old and it doesn't leak a drop, so go figure. But I do have the older version of the Harbor Freight cabinet. I don't know if the newer version has issues or what, but in any case, she was able to remedy some of those leaks that I'll show you in the video here in a second. Basically, Claire was cleaning and polishing parts, and she found it very tedious to do it manually. She looked into buying a retail vapor blasting machine and realized how expensive they were. She found my plans, picked them up, built the cabinet, and it looks like she is doing quite a bit of work with this machine. Okay, so I'll just play the video real quick.
Claire here. I'm going to walk you through all the changes that I made to the blast cabinet, both good and bad. Instead of using a wiper blade, I am using fresh water for the window. It seems to work really well. What it does is it cycles, it doesn't activate until I push the pedal, and then it will wait 15 seconds and then it'll squirt water for 1 second. And it'll repeat that cycle until I turn the machine off, which is great. Works super, super great. Here is the shower curtain. This back so you can see it. It's just a piece of like shelf liner that I got from Ace Hardware. I bolted it at an angle there. You can see where I just kind of cut it and bolted it with 6 little bolts. And I also put some heavy bolts in the bottom, just like you'd have magnets on your shower curtain. I put them on this to keep it weighted down. And then the other thing that I would recommend that you get is these feet. These are called Footmaster, I think. And they are awesome because when you need to move the unit, what you do is you screw that little red dial and it lowers the wheel. And then you can do all 4 of those, wheel it around, and then when you get it to where you want it, you can lift the wheel back up and then it sits on rubber feet. So it's super stable. I like that so much better than regular casters, especially if you have an unlevel floor. You can screw that rubber foot down as far as you need to, and it'll really, it really just levels everything out. It's awesome. Here are some parts that I've blasted with it. This is, these are the crankcases for a 1969C D175. It's the same displacement as the CB175, but it's only got 1 carb. Other small differences to it. So I've done that. Here are the pistons that I've done with it. Those look awesome. Those are carbs off of a 1982 Yamaha Seika XJ650. Those will be getting done real soon. That bike is actually much closer to being done. And then here are some other parts that I've done through the Vapor Blaster. So there's the other parts of that CD175. So it's really helped get through a lot of the work that I've needed to do. It really makes things look just fantastic. So thank you for everything that you've done. I really appreciate it. And thanks for putting the plans out there. And yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing more stuff with you.
And real quick, there's one more thing that Claire shared with me with her magic arm for her camera, and that gave me an idea to put over here on the workbench, because sometimes when I have the camera set up and I'm filming stuff for you guys, I'm always bumping into the tripod and it doesn't give the best view. So it'd be pretty cool to rig up a magic arm on a track here, and that way I can get the camera wherever I want at the workbench. So I'll go ahead and show you that right now.
That's my camera rig. This is actually kind of fun. You might get a kick out of this. That, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, that might show up. That is a swivel for a like a bass boat seat. And what I did is I put a piece of wood on it, and then I mounted this pipe and put power on it so I can spin my camera 360 degrees around the table. So as I'm working on stuff and I want to reposition the camera, I can do that, and it's got power and a light on it. So I thought you might get a kick out of that. So anyway, thanks a lot. Take care. Bye.
All right, well, that's it. You saw these people. They're building, you know, all kinds of stuff with these plans. I go into theory. Once you have the theory, you can really apply it to anything. Use any cabinet you want. People from all over the world are building these things, and they're saving a ton of money.